experienced player nonetheless. And I think keeping a calm head in a match like this could be the difference maker. As we head on to the pitch, DFH Stadium, Azure in the blue, 1NE in the orange.
And the very beginning of this match will be telling for me in terms of Azure. I'm expecting that all three players get very involved. We get a lot of bumps from Clawsy and Squiggly, as per usual, and they sort of set the tone. They set the flow of the game, but we'll see, because 1NE can very easily disrupt that.
That they can. Squirrel just as SQ right now, I guess. It's caught me off guard for a little second. No, it's Squiggly. What am I saying? Clawsy.
How much sleep have you had last night, Bacon?
Not a lot. I'm not going to lie. Rapoopy, however. Woo.
That's a great first goal. 1NE on the board. And, oh no, Clawsy, that touch is not what you want. And just as we talked about, Rapoopy punishing the mistake.
I love how just in our own little Discord chat, Gex writes, Squirrel is, if nothing else, fast. That's the saving grace, I guess, is Squiggly. Throws it downfield, looking for Clawsy. Chaotic steps in. Bunny Dummy halts on the line. Here comes Squirrel with the shot. He's even going through for a block. Doesn't connect, but Squiggly gets it away.
Well, we see it if 1NE can continue this on, because they've had a lot of possession here. Chaotic was going for the air dribble. We know he's well mechanics throughout APAC South, and could be a player that makes that difference in this, as Gex would call it, 2v3.
Good block out. That'll be dropping perfectly for Squirrel. He can't get there in time, unfortunately. Bunny Dummy with the runaway. Launched it towards Clawsy. Connects. Ball fall back. No, just a bounce. And Squiggly doesn't have confidence in his touch there.
Oh, Bunny Dummy looking for an angle, but it's too direct for Azure Esports. They're going to try and set up a long-form play. They even get the Devo, but it's just rolling towards there. There has to be touch. A miss, but Bunny Dummy clutching it out. It doesn't matter. Squirrel super sub comes through for the second goal.
This save by Bunny Dummy, full credit, but by that point, no boost. Actually, he had tons of boost left, just not able to react. Harsh.
Second goal here for 1NE. And Azure, they've got to start worrying about this, because, again, the major playoffs are on the line. A win here does 100% secure them. 1NE, they're well within the runnings, and they'll be taking down their biggest rival, number 3 versus number 2 in terms of the points.
So much resting on this series alone. Like I said, Azure win it, they go through to the major playoffs. 1NE win it, and they still have to fight. Squiggly launching downfield. The passing plays coming out from Azure. Fantastic ideas, but they just can't execute on them.
We'd be looking for that goal number 3 as we hit that halfway mark. And 1NE are in such a dominant position, but we still see Azure, a bit of a rough start, a bit of a slow burner potentially. They could warm up even in this first game, start bringing out these goals in the second half.
To the blue corner, Squiggly blocked out by Squirrel. Launched it, Rapoopy the pick up off the post. Another shot by Chaotic. No. It's not good enough to beat the woodwork, and Azure somehow hold on.
Normally you'd expect 1NE and especially Chaotic to be sinking those, so a bit of a surprise here for 1NE. It's not going to worry them too much. Azure still need those 2 goals. They're still driving forward, looking for the demos. You just see Clawsy just rushing the players. They another demo, and Clawsy scores.
Harsh moments, but a goal's a goal. Rapoopy bumping into Chaotic, and he can't get across in time for the save. Azure, it's 1 up on the board and 1 closer to tying things up.
That was even the bump going the way of 1NE, but it touched the ball the other way. Kickoff goal for Chaotic. After all that hard work by Azure, it means deadly.
Yummy. And I know we talked about the script in the last regional, but what was going on when you wrote this one? Because well,
we want 1NE to set up a good start. We want to give people the hope that this team can take it, and we'll see realistically if Azure are able to break the script.
Bit abstract, but we'll take it. It's enjoyable so far. Let's keep it going. That's a nice little step in. Rapupit send it deep into the corner. Bunny Dummy under his realm of control, and you can see he needs to get rid of it. He needs to find Squiggly straight away. He's running out of boost, but now he needs to run back into defense. Give a bit of backup to Clawzy, and Squiggly with nothing has to return as well. Easy pickup from 1NE as they send it deep downfield. Squiggly not with a fantastic touch. Good block coming out from Bunny Dummy.
It's a breakaway as well from Clawzy as Azure Esports have been looking for this second goal, and for the most part it's been Clawzy trying to disrupt and trying to make the plays in front of the 1NE net, and he's going to get another goal. Clawzy, this is 2 for 2.
Take a moment, just appreciate. Oh. Lean.
You really like open nets, don't you, Bacon?
I just like the connections, the step in there from Bunny Dummy to receive it, and then put it straight on the nose of Clawzy. It don't matter that it's an open net, it's just how smooth that is in motion.
I do love the passing plays, and it's something that Azure have brought out more and more as the season has gone on. And it's a great sign, not just for them in this tournament, but as time goes on. Bunny Dummy looking for it. They want to equalize, but it's a good save out from 1NE. Chance still, though, for Azure Esports. A shot goes high. A shot goes in. Squiggly is going to equalize.
See, it caught you as well. Thank you, Squiggly, for that. Put it in your head. I mean, at least he's got, I don't know, a happy emoji in the name as well, because he's got to be happy with that one. 8 seconds left to go. Are we getting an OT? Or perhaps even a buzzer beater as Bunny Dummy puts it high into the sky, following on through. That's off the backboard. Squirrel's got to get away. Connects with Bunny Dummy. And well, Squiggly pushing into his home half. What was he thinking? Chaotic with a follow-up. And into the corner.
That was very dangerous there from Squiggly. He was just playing rule 0, keeping the ball up on 0 seconds for as long as possible, and ends up getting it almost there for Chaotic to score. And Azure Esports have made a huge comeback. It may be even somewhat of an opening, but Squirrel again getting back in defense. Oh no.
Oh no, indeed. Clawzy and Azure turn it all around. Chaotic not able to reach it. Squirrel had confidence in his teammate and respect it, but you got to back up in OT scenarios.
Well, Gex said Squirrel is fast, and I'll tell you what, he was very quick to that corner boost while the ball unfortunately rolled into his net. And 1NE have to worry about themselves here. They were 3-1 in the lead. They were in a controlling position. Azure Esports were struggling to create any kind of opportunities for themselves. And then all of a sudden, they burst out of the gates. Clawzy especially, going for so many demos in this game, getting a lot of good setups, and Azure Esports somehow out of the brink of nothingness get game 1.
Okay, take a little moment to just come down from that game 1, because I don't think we were expecting 1NE to come out of the gates absolutely screaming, Azure to then turn it around as soon as they figured out 1NE, who today, very uncharacteristically, were playing such aggressive Rocket League, weren't they? We're so used to a well-thought-out game from 1NE, but bringing in Screw has really changed them up.
And that's good. I think it's the sort of thing that would catch Azure off guard, and it seemed to do so for the first half of the game. The question is that going to be successful if they continue on with that aggressive style? Because once Azure figured out that they had a bit more room, that they could wait for 1NE to come out to them and beat one player, then things started looking poor for 1NE.
So we head back into the lobby, back to the Forbidden Temple. It's game 2 underway, already in control. Look at that from 1NE. And good defense coming out from Azure. Bunny Dummy sticking on that backboard, just being patient.
Azure Esports will be looking to carry on into the beginning of this game. Again, they're looking to really stamp down on this one, take their best opportunity. The one moment of weakness they may have over the top of 1NE, where Squirrel is subbing in. That being said, of course, they did verse them in the Swiss round and beat them with that core roster. So no matter what, Azure have to be confident.
for our own sakes. Thankfully, Squiggly has gone and changed his name back. Oh, thank you, Squiggly.
What a legend. And also you mean Squiggly, not Squirrel.
Yep. Still got a little smiley face, so all's good there. Woo! And all's good there.
That's a good goal from Azure Esports. Maybe not a great start as Squiggly with the backflip, but it actually gave him the extra room. And once again, going high, Azure Esports hitting that backboard and catching people off guard.
So Azure picking up where they left off. So a lot of goals, a quick sequence from Azure in the last game. Took a minute to get that one there, Yummy. And 1NE right now, they need to get a quick response, otherwise it could start slipping, avalanching away from them.
Z again setting up a goal. Again, it's in. Squiggly this time gets the second goal at Azure Esports. This is the reason they have gone into the grand final time and time again.
Just respect through and through to Azure. We've been waiting all season so far, all split so far for this matchup, and it is truly delivering some of the best Rocket League from these two squads. 1NE. What do they have to respond? Because we've seen fantastic plays. The idea was inspired there.
Still got a chance though as Rabubi gets demoed out. Oh, it's got to be so frustrating playing against Azure. You're ready to take the shots, you're ready to make a save, you're ready to just hit the ball, and then you're not on the pitch. The timing on the demos have been immaculate too from Azure.
They have Squiggly with a follow-up, but it's taken off to the side by Chaotic, coming in clutch, looking to run this. He's got his Claw Z in front of him, who patiently waits. Tracks the ball perfectly. It's like they're playing ones downfield in the blue half there, but pressure being applied by 1NE as the ball's put out wide. Rapoopy didn't read that perfectly. So Bunny Dummy stepped on in. And now we're going to probably see a little bit back and forth as these two teams fall into a nice flow.
Very nice to see that Azure Esports are showing full well-roundedness too. We've often been looking at Bunny Dummy, just like in moments like this, to be the player setting up and scoring a lot of the goals, and for Claw Z to be the one opening up the field alongside Squiggly. But today, Claw Z has really impressed.
Bunny Dummy as well with the confidence there to be deep downfield. Like, full credit to notice that that's going to be a hard hit for 1NE. So he's taking the risk, staying downfield just for reception because he's just well calculated. I'm
hoping at this point as well, obviously you don't want to give up on the series, but maybe the game is getting harder and harder for 1NE. In fact, I thought that was going to miss for a second there, but even harder now as it's a 0-4. I'd like to see 1NE just go for some more crazy plays, throw the kitchen sink, have Chaotic or even Rapoopy go for some flip resets, something crazy just to give themselves, I guess, a little bit more fun, a little bit more momentum throughout the series.
How in sync Azure are right now, especially with those demos on top. Good last second save, but Claw Z, you gotta love those pushes. 1NE can't go for full-out aggression. They have to go for team plays like that if they want aggression, but it's got to be a very short burst to catch Azure off, and that means they've got to use the 1 minute 40 left to go back to the drawing board and come up with a plan now.
Nice opening there from Chaotic, but maybe again because of the sub, not rotationally in that spot to follow up and to score, and Azure Esports even break out of the defense, a chance off the backboard for them too. Only a minute left on the clock, and this has to be a goal. Squirrel will be the one looking for the dribble, but cannot find the angle either.
A little bit too much power in that initial hit, sent it right down to the wall, and thus easier to block out coming for Claw Z. Another shot put out wide, Squirrel looking to gain ground, but Squiggly doesn't mind dribbling, keeping it in their own half, trying to keep it under control. Well, that was sloppy, and Squiggly has to dig them out of that. Bunny Dummy putting it out wide into open space. Nice recoveries from Azure.
I know somebody who's pretty upset right now too, Boyo, was really hoping that 1NE would really charge forward in this series, maybe take it, and and then make Gex a little bit more upset if they were to lose against Pulse in the semifinals. At this point in time, it just looks like Azure have figured out all of their problems. They're not looking nervous, and I think that, as we've talked about all weekend long, is the advantage of getting the extra experience, of getting into those grand finals time and time again, and exposing themselves to other nerve-wracking situations.
And perhaps it also shows 1NE, as we said in the past, have single-mindedly thought about Pulse. That's the team which they have to beat. And they've let Azure slip away. They haven't really considered them. And that disrespect right now is biting them in the booty.
Azure Esports now 2 games in the lead. And I'm mostly looking down at the demos. I've been following this. They're averaging about 2 demos a game, which, crazy enough, is only a little above where Clawsy and Squiggly normally go. They are the 2 highest demoing players in the region throughout the entire split, and they're even extending those numbers. And when you've got a sub, when you're 1NE and you're bringing a sub and it's already hard to rotate, it's got to be twice as hard when you're getting demoed out.
So 1NE have just called a timeout, and I think this is a wise point to use it, because game 1, going to the OT, that game 2 had really slipped the... What's going wrong? Where do they go from here? How do they fix it? Because there's still a 2-game buffer right there. Azure's still got to win 2 more, so it's not like it was an immediate change up. They've got that little bit of wiggle room, and well, as you look at it, it seems like Chaotic is the one leading the talk, and it's very short, a bit odd, but smiles nonetheless.
I think also what's great about this tactical timeout, it's a reset moment. Azure seem to be warming up, as you said, from game 1. Even towards the end of that, they were getting hotter and hotter. This is the point to make them cool down while you get to have a little bit of fun. You can see Squirrel at the top, really getting the smile going, having a good time. And the spirits still seem to be pretty high here for 1NE.
I love right now, like, with the player camps that I just had in chat, just like, Squirrel's room is sick. Like, loving the design, and like, could get like a little fashion league going on, but like room fashion league now.
What's he listening to? He's got a head bop going on.
All right.
And, I think that's part of a bit of a strategy of many players. Some players play without music, no distractions, give you full in-game sound. Other players I know do listen to music to either keep them in the zone, to keep them hyped up, or even to just help them with some of their nerves. And
it goes both ways. It's got to be what works for you. And I definitely know for myself, you know what I mean? I'm like a music gamer because it gets you into flow. Like, you follow the rhythm of the music, if that makes sense. So you need like upbeat stuff, like no lo-fi and chill or whatever, because then you just slow down and get a bit too relaxed. What's your take on it?
I don't think there's ever a problem of getting too relaxed in an RLCS match. But, yeah, I think most people tend to listen to upbeat stuff and get themselves in the zone that way and listen to what they're used to. And for the most part, it's about listening to the same thing that you practice with. But we're here in game number 3. And at this point, we're hoping that timeout from 1NE pays off. They need this game. They can't let themselves get into a reverse sweep situation.
No, they can't. They've got to get a bit more upbeat themselves and beat Azure. Chaotic has got a nice little charge going, but Bunny Dummy above net. He's been crazy good up there. Squiggly holding on to the ball. Nice little dribble. Can he find Clawsy with this? Clawsy takes the sky, but flies by. An unfortunate misconnect.
Looking for a charge down, and that's an opening, but Poopy attempting the Azure strategy was going for the bumps, and Azure were ready for it, jumped over, but it doesn't matter. Chaotic, the sniper finds the net again.
These are big moments. Azure do slip up, that they do make mistakes, and that they are vulnerable. You've just got to keep cracking away at them, and finally that wall will crumble.
We've seen that plenty of times coming out from Chaotic over the last few weeks as well, where he just takes a shot from the midfield and it goes in. And it's a great shot, and Claw-Z gets a great shot, but it's all set up by the fact that these guys are so unpredictable.
Claw-Z, beautiful little charge up. Good read to see that the ball was moving into the corner instead of being a clearance downfield. Like, following up on that prediction and saying, I get on that wall, I cut it out, I go straight for the shot down onto net because there's not going to be enough time for someone to rotate on in. And straight after kickoff, Azure hammering down. They are getting aggressive now.
Yeah, it's good to see. Have at least kept this game close. Looking for some more, but Azure Esports starting to pin 1NE into their own defense. Squiggly backing off that one has created opening, and it's Chaotic again, just taking a shot from his own end.
Chaotic always steps up in moments like this to lead the team with a roar. You can still see 1NE a little bit quiet, not celebrating just yet, Yummy. They know there's still so much more work to do.
I still like this from Chaotic. It's always surprising to see so many shots from him go into the net, but it's because he's got such a great dribble play, he's got the passing opportunities. People aren't expecting him to take the shot, so they're not covering the net, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, this is over the top of me and in my goal. It's working out as well in this game for 1NE. Both their goals coming out from just that shot from Chaotic.
2:40 left on the clock. Rapoopy and it back into the mix of the Claw-Z. Nice little turn in. Pick it up once again. Another shot by Chaotic. Squiggly just gets it to time, but it's like a bad case of deja vu for Azure here.
I think at this point, they know it's coming. At least that time, they were like, okay, Chaotic's near the ball. I better worry about our net. They are able to get the save. There's a third goal here. Could be in trouble for Azure. It might instead be trouble for 1NE, as that was a very dangerous pass across the net. Still Bunny Dummy with his own chance off the wall, almost as Squiggly is just being a menace. He's in the net chasing demos, not even on the ground, but off the roof.
Oh, Rapoopy gonna get these blocks. Chaotic picking it up, pushing it into the wall, wanting to get the bounce out for himself, but Claw-Z just to dislodge it. Rapoopy beaten by Bunny Dummy. Good stuff, Squirrel, to be in the back lines, quick enough to retreat. Just offers 1NE the lifeline to keep them ahead by one.
Rapoopy, though, he doesn't want to let this settle in a 2-1 lead. They weren't able to hold on to a 2-goal lead in the first game. They need one more, but Claw-Z again stepping up with the dribble. An accidental extra touch from Squiggly. Otherwise, that was looking good, and now it's gone back down the other end. A huge miss from Bunny Dummy, but the demos from Claw-Z, this time in the midfield, absolutely stopped 1NE in their tracks.
They did. After a little mistake, a demo like that to clean it up, bring them back on track is fantastic. Final minute will ring in the players' ears. Rapoopy with the shot. It's an open net. 1NE have a safety net now in game 3.
Great moment there from Squirrel. You see him hit the ball, but he uses the momentum of the ball going sideways to slam himself into the wall, come straight back out, and get the pass across. This sub has mechanics.
That he does. Rapoopy again. I'm wondering, how do 1NE play out the last 50? I think they're going to go for another goal. They're not feeling too safe. But Chaotic, going for another goal. How about going for a hat-trick as well?
Great to see Chaotic be the goal scorer once again.
What a demo.
He was the player up against Pulse in what has been the closest best of 7 against Pulse, a Game 7 last event. It was Chaotic scoring goal after goal after goal, and Gex was talking about it earlier. It's up to him to potentially be dragging 1NE into the lead in this series.
Just imagine Gex with the biggest smile ever right now, you know, after a game like this where 1NE have been so golden. The issue is it's just one game. They did call a timeout, so they clearly had planned it, come together with something. As you're already 2 up, so they're still in the lead, still that advantage. Can Azure come up with something now as we head into game 4 to turn things back in their favor? Otherwise, get tied up and would be very interesting.
And And I like this point in the series. Not only has 1NE turned it around at the point that they had to, but they've done it in a way that completely has shut down what Azure are doing. They're still playing well, Azure. They're still attempting the same gameplay, but at all points in time, 1NE are finding spots on the pitch where they can take shots, where they can disrupt Azure. And, well, I think this is actually doable now for 1NE. That was pretty convincing.
And as we look at the stats just there, it's almost like 1NE have pulled out Azure's playstyle against them. You know, this very heavy demo, very aggressive, but then whenever they see the opportunity, whenever they see an open net, well, 1NE just throws it towards it, see what sticks. If it doesn't, well, we pressured our opponents into our own half, and thus we pick it up again from the midfield. 1NE's playstyle right now is arguably quite simple.
If I was Azure's coach right now, I'd probably be just telling them one thing, and that's just to spread out. In so many of these situations where they're in defense, there's kind of two people trying to play forward for the next play on the ball. There's nobody kind of hanging further back, waiting for the play to develop. They're all trying to be involved at the same time, whether that's a demo or being ready to challenge. And that's creating too many openings for Chaotic in particular.
And especially with their capabilities for these long shots, long passes as well from Azure, that widespread out style shouldn't hurt them too much, but that will hurt them quite a lot.
A kickoff goal for 1NE, and once again, Squirrel with the dirty angle. Squiggly caught completely off guard and misreads the backboard, so 1NE just straight off the mark.
If 1NE take this game, we better see Azure take a tactical timeout before heading into Game 5, because, oh damn, 1NE have clearly got something going right for them. Simple shot by Squiggly, simple save realistically for the opposite end.
Still 1NE are not looking troubled whatsoever. There's no panic on the defense. They look very relaxed, and of course the pressure isn't on them. The pressure is on Azure. Chaotic almost scoring at both ends as Bunny Dummy initially looked like he was going for the fake, but well read by 1NE.
It's really blocked out by Squirrel there as well. Bunny Dummy looking to get it away. Can he get a second touch? Yes, he can. That's bumped out. Squiggly got a little bit confused. Oh, and Squirrel's not getting confused at all.
So
Squirrel stepping up.
That is an insane amount, and yet 1NE, and Squirrel in particular, able to avoid them at the right time, still be able to make the saves and hold on to this one-goal lead as Chaotic marches to the other end. He's going to hit the backboard again, a weakness so far of Azure. Another backboard right in front of net. It's missed, but it's still going forward. Clausy in an awkward spot, but Rapoopy's going to respect Squiggly and stay further back away from that shot.
The ideas from 1NE are fantastic, and they are going to finally get the reward. It was close. It bounced off the woodwork, and Squirrel gets the second.
Oh, Squirrel's name keeps coming up in the lights. Another goal here, but it was Chaotic to originally get that shot that bounced off the post. 1NE, they've turned this series around.
Okay, where do Azure go from here? Looking at a scary comeback from 1NE, and that does get into your head as a player, doesn't it, Yummy?
Oh, it does. As they haven't really changed anything in Azure Esports. They're still going for the bumps and demos, but 1NE seem to be ready for them now. Their rotations are getting dialed in with their sub, and their touches have been dangerous for Azure. This should be another goal. Well saved out by Bunny Dummy. He had to use the post there. Even still, Squirrel almost gets another one. Another one rings off the woodwork, and Azure breathe a sigh of relief, even as Azure are chasing for a goal of their own.
Yeah, someone needs to tell 1NE that it's not post-it league right now, because they just cannot leave the sides of the net alone. Another step up coming through from Rapoopy, going for the block out, but Bunny Dummy getting just under it to push it up high. Clever 50-50.
It's such an important series too. We have to remember 1NE could still get into those major playoffs where they're expected to be at the beginning of the season. They came in as that number 2 team. It all comes down to this weekend after maybe some unfortunate sides of the bracket, some unfortunate Swiss results for them especially, but they could all make it up with one huge performance that's beginning today.
Cut out right there by Rapupi. Clausy on the midfield line. Didn't time himself perfectly, but that was such a hard ask to get the block there. Squiggly blocked out by Squirrel, who his pay is a massive credit to this squad to continuously be hounding the opposition of Azure.
You get dunked there, but Chaotic always ready forward of the ball to immediately intercept the play and actually turn it into somewhat of a pass there for 1NE. And that's actually going to go down the other end. Bunny Dummy has to make the save. We've seen this scoreline before, roughly around the same time as Azure Esports were able to take game 1, but they're not going to be able to do it again. Squirrel, again, he's gone through it. He's gone clutch.
We questioned it. Hasif coming in as the wonder sub earlier. And well, Squirrel is coming in something fierce as well for 1NE right now. Azure, they have got to dig deep for some mental strength because 2 in a row for 1NE after everything was looking so good. It's a powerful comeback.
1NE now. They're going to tie up the series. I can't see Azure Esports making this comeback. And 1NE aren't just doing it by the tips of their fingernails. They are dominating Azure Esports, the second team in the region, though Bunny Dummy is still trying to fight.
It's still alive. I mean, the chances are slim. Let's be real about it, but it's happened. We've seen it before. We've seen it in numerous RLCS games where there's even been 4 goals in the last minute. 2 in the last 25 seconds. They can do it. I think we've seen Azure do it in the past as well.
And still, the clock is getting lower and lower. 1NE have shown that they can challenge well in the midfield, and that should be the right touch there. Rapupi, of course, ensuring that there is no time left for Azure, and in fact, even less as Squirrel gets his hat-trick.
And a big shutdown. Azure were probably thinking, okay, we're still in the series, we can still get one. Squirrel to slap them back down to earth. Absolutely plummeting. Azure's mental morale right now has got to be hurting. And that makes it even worse.
Goal number 4 for Squirrel. I'm going to have to go back to Gex. He was saying Rapupi and Chaotic were good enough to carry 1NE through, but that's 4 goals for Squirrel in this game number 4. And well, full-on 1NE squad looking to get themselves into the semi-final, and all they need to do is get into the grand final if they want a chance at that major.
Fitting, ain't it, for Squirrel, because he is absolutely nutty today. 4 goals coming through from 6 shots, a mighty fine conversion ratio as well. But notice, Yummy, in this game, no demos at all from 1NE. They didn't have to assert issues on their opponents this time around.
Yeah, no, I can't stand any more acorny jokes from you, but we do have problem here. Azure Esports are even getting less demos than expected. They're not finding openings. I think we kind of look back at those first 2 games. I was saying, Clausy, he's stepping up. He's having an amazing day. He's looking really good. It was actually potentially a problem. They were relying on Clausy, and as a full team, they usually a real trio here, real 3-man effort, and it's just not coming through anymore now that Clausy hasn't had his huge moments.
I've been told about any timeouts, so expecting this to run straight on into game 5, and 2 more from either side is needed. 1NE on a massive momentum swing should keep it going. Oh, and there we go. Just on that mark, Yummy. Azure have called the timeout.
You got to do it. After 2 games, you have to do it, but especially when it was so one-sided. Looks like Squiggly was getting up and just moving about, getting his blood flowing, getting his fingers shaken out a little bit too. And that can be all you need. Just a time to reset, to relax, to not think about things for a little bit, and then go into the next one strong.
I'm a big fan of like the get up, shake it all about, you know, like in drama class back in school, maybe a couple of jumping jacks, you know, just to loosen up the body, just to like completely let go of a bit of energy. And you can see that's the best thing about this squad. The smiles, like the laughter they have, just vibes from Azure are great.
Yeah, they look pretty relaxed too, and Squiggly especially is the smiling one at the bottom right, leading them forward. And well, Squirrel, he's having the time of his life, suddenly waving at the camera. He's enjoying it, and as he should.
Oof. Big yawns coming out from Rapupi, and Chaotic seems to have some sort of holy glow on him right now. He definitely has been popping off all throughout the day, but there's Squirrel in that last game to be the difference maker as we head into game 5 minutes on the clock.
I think this will be a reset. Yeah, we're definitely going to get a reset here. And, you know, maybe jumping the gun a little bit
Squiggly's
too
not in the
early
lobby.
here. So we'll spend a little bit of time waiting for them to remake. But, yeah, I mean, that's maybe even just a little extra time for Azure to shake out their nerves.
Yeah, that's not the worst thing in the world. Who knows? Because I think they need to get talking a little bit more. Previously, they haven't had such a difficult opposition in such a difficult moment, because we're talking about a series they win, they go to the major playoffs. Previously, it's always been, you know, go with the flow, go with the vibe of the day. They haven't had that big moment where this is, I wouldn't say do or die for them, because we know even if they lose this series, it does come down to tomorrow with 1NE versus the winner of Pulse. And I was going to say we take all. We own all. We own all. That's what. That was,
just letting you guys
big
know
brain fart
insight into the commentary team, and you know we're here just making sure to remember every name. I mean, I had to have literal notes here saying, "Oh, Team Zentra are now known as Atlas." Otherwise, I would have forgot. Unfortunately, you obviously didn't have your notes up right now.
No, I've got to run a show up on that tab, so that's why. Yep, I'll take the hit on that. That's absolutely fine. And hey, I'll take the excuse. There's a new team, so you know we haven't had as much time to say their name out loud and practice it. And I'm just making up excuses. We
Any
get
more
ready to hop back
copium
on
for chat? Anything else we want to get out there?
I mean, the copium right now for 1NE is working pretty darn good. The copium coming on in for Azure. What do they need to change up, Yummy, to get back in the league? Because that spark is just seemingly missing from them, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I told them that they need to spread out in the last game, but fence at the same time. I mean, they go for the odd demo, but they could be hitting that backboard like they were so successful with earlier on. They could be getting some of those passes going as well. It kind of feels like as the tension mounts for them and as things start falling apart a little bit, they forget what got them there, what was so successful, and they're just worrying about hitting the ball towards the net.
Interesting. And I'm there because also looking at like game plans and strategies, normally my go-to would be slow the ball down, make it comfortable for you, because when we look at 1NE, they're loving the aggression. But I don't think that is going to work, because then you'd be inviting 1NE to aggress, wouldn't you? So it's a difficult case where it just comes down to morale. I think it's just make sure they're in the heads, get the first goal for Azure, and then go from there, because 1NE, I mean, that's their second kickoff goal they've had now in the series, and from there, they just seem to rocket ahead, don't they?
I'm kind of thinking towards the future. And we know that Squiggly and Squirrel are best friends, basically. You know, Gex talks about that. Those two are really good mates. And if you're in this situation for Azure, potentially losing to a sub, losing to Squirrel, not only are you worried about your chance to get to the major, but you'll never hear the end of it from Squirrel. You'll never get to hear the end of it from everybody else around the region. And then if there was that chance that they went on tomorrow and 1NE were able to get into that grand final, well, not only would everybody be talking about it, the whole world would be looking at Squirrel taking down Azure.
That is such like an upset scenario. I mean, we're all like saying going into that match tomorrow and expecting them to face off against Pulse because realistically we own all. It's their first time in the regionals. The players know they're on webcams. I love that little wave to the crowd. But who knows? That could be changed up and then we get an even bigger upset coming up later today. But 1NE right now, I'm loving the mental from the squad. And they've shown it time and time before where they can continuously pull something new out. And, oh, looks like Squiggly's gone and knocked his camera.
Welcome back, Squiggly. He just walked about. We're going to have a little bit of time before our next game. It should be coming up pretty briefly as all the players are settled back in. And I guess we did need this reminder. Thank you so much, production. Lionel, we are currently 2-2 in our best of 7. And as Bacon would usually say, this is practically a best of 3.
I never say that, thank you very much.
I'm sorry.
But that is a very common... It's a very common caster cliche to say, you know, everyone at home playing caster bingo has probably just ticked that one off, so they're thanking you there, Yummy. As we head back into the lobby, it's on over towards Wasteland. 2 apiece. That essential best of 3, just because you brought it up, Yummy, is in play, and it's probably going to feel like a new series in a lot of ways because we've had about 5 minutes of break now.
Yeah, I mean, this is Rocket League, anything can happen, and maybe Azure can turn this around, or maybe 1NE can win with their sub Squirrel. It's already a bit of an opening at the very start of this game. 1NE, they're not going to slow down. Maybe that 5-minute break isn't going to worry them too much.
We'll see. Bunny Dummy is probably screaming down his mic towards Squiggly. Where were you right there? It was an open net, but he couldn't do it on his own. He needed a teammate, Claw-Z, with the block out. The 50-50 pushed out wide, but Rapoopy pushed into his own half.
Back in the defense now. 1NE, they've not really struggled too much in the last couple of games in defense, and you can see why. They've held safe, they've held calm, and keep getting that ball moving up the pitch. Squirrel has slowed it down too to make it difficult for Bunny Dummy to have time. And Squirrel's even created an opening. Chaotic has some time on the ball, but Bunny Dummy from in front saves out Bales Azure Esports.
Squirrel there as well, pushed up at the same time. Didn't give much for Rapoopy, who just had to stall and did a good job off it, it's got to be said, but it was a little bit awkward for a moment. Nice little pop by Bunny Dummy. Can he get the block out? It's lingering towards net. Squiggly finishes it off.
Man, we were hoping to step up. Bunny Dummy certainly does. Beats out Squirrel and reads that touch by a mile from Rapoopy. Nice work here as Azure break their dry streak.
That they do. 1 minute 30. That's what we've seen so far. Still so much time left on the clock as Bunny Dummy. That's a nice pop-up for Squiggly. Good little throw down towards Claw-Z, but easily read by Rapoopy.
Opening here for Squirrel. There's a good chance there for 1NE. Azure's been scrambling in the defense quite well so far, and this game hasn't been any freebies for 1NE. That's a good sign that Azure Esports are taking to the next level. It's open. Claw-Z, he's made it difficult for himself. Needed to go for the double when it was an open net in the first place. And Squiggly is just going to take it high to make it hard on the clear for 1NE.
Ooh, that's a nice idea with the pass out Chaotic, but it's a simple idea. Claw-Z stepping on in. Squiggly backs out, goes to the boost. Clever little adjustment. Bunny Dummy not going to be able to get the best pop out, but no one contests it. He's free to launch the ball towards net, steals another 100 away. Azure want to dig deep into their opponent's half, but a demo like that saves 1NE from a suffocating bit of pressure. And still gets it!
With the flip reset, he finds the timing. You knew he had the space. And that was very dangerous. A little extra air dribble at the end just to guide it home.
No reaction from Chaotic as well. Like, might as well just put a picture up for his player can. Just cold as ice there. Dang.
And you cannot give 1NE any room, but you especially cannot give Chaotic the room. That's almost in. Redirect from Azure Esports was looking good, and they're looking confident. They're pushing hard, but have they gone too far? Not just yet. More demos as Bunny Dummy is chasing out the defenders, trying to turn it into a 1v0. Oh, and a huge fake! Rapupi's demolished Azure.
Okay. Bunny Dummy right there. Oh, he's got to feel absolutely rotten right now after Rapupi does that to him. The disrespect, the fake. Okay. That's got to hurt right deep down in the soul. 1NE looking for another. Do they find it? The bouncer is put away, but that was harsh.
How many times have Azure been put on the back foot and then look to get too aggressive? It's just simply the case that 1NE are so good at finding these openings. And as soon as they have that extra room, we've got Rapupi, we've got Chaotic getting these solo plays, some bumps in front of net. A long time was floating there in front of the Azure goalposts. The 1NE don't have to push too hard here. They've got that 1 goal lead. And a minute remaining. They're still in a comfortable position looking for goal number 3.
Good little block out and good follow-up coming through from Clawzy to gain ground. But this is the issue for me right now, Yummy, is when they get into their opponent's half, Azure, where they're that little bit loose, don't really have much to do in their opponent's half. They don't know how to sync up with each other right now.
Bunny Dummy hasn't found Squiggly or Clawzy, and part of that is Azure Esports have been really hounding the bumps. Takes out one player from the pitch, and it's also probably why there's been more openings on the defensive end for them. But at this point in time, they need to push hard. They only have 20 seconds.
Dig deep, find some strength. Squiggly find the demo, but the ball at the same time, it's a little bit awkward. Squirrel with the jump across, getting the ball away. It's still alive, it is still up in the air, it's not over until it touches the floor. But this is an awkward scenario as it does indeed touch the floor. 1NE with 3 games in a row move on to series point.
Could be about to sweep a best of 7 if you ignore the first 2 games. A gentleman's sweep almost, as a 1NE have figured it out. Squirrel, as Gex said, doesn't need to be there. 76 points. And yet, Rapupi and Chaotic, we saw those 2 massive plays, and that's what scores them the goals.
I like that term, a gentleman's sweep. Just like, yeah, it's good boy. Those ones never happened, don't worry. It was just a full attention to the board up there. But Azure? I think they need to pay attention to it.
By the way, hearing a British person do a British accent.
A fake British accent, yes.
No, that sounded genuine to me. That was spot on.
Hey, accentception? Is that what we're going to call that now? But anyway, Azure still well and truly in this. It just, the flow is just awkward for them. And when they start to look good, like they got the opening goal in that game, they just crumbled away. They can have these small little bursts of energies, but then they start stumbling over each other. There's a weird incohesion at the moment for this squad.
It almost feels like they're always desperate. It's so weird to see a team so keen on the demos that they're forgetting about the fact that they have the passes, that they have to have somebody back to be able to defend. And often in these cases, not just one person ready to defend by themselves, because once you give a 1v1 scenario with space to either Chaotic or Rapupi, it's not working out well. You have to have even just at least a threat of a supporting player to come in with a challenge to force a play from none of those guys.
I would argue it's like they're bad multitaskers or something, but Rocket League is one of the most heavily intensive multitasking games there is, because you've got so many different skills going on a mechanical level. Throwing in the team aspect is a difficult task where you're not getting too much into your own head, where you're not just thinking solely about yourself, and you've got to remember where your teammates are, but not remember them as such, but just instinctively know where they are. Maybe from sound cues, over your shoulder, there's a little bit of boost. You know that's going to be squiggly over there if you're Clawsy. Or just think, at moments like this, that's where Bunny Dummy gets into air, so I'm going to pass it towards center for him.
I think they just need to change it up. Just do anything to get themselves reset here. I would have thought those 5 minutes were enough. But they probably have to be in a position here where they're defense first, and they find some moments where those demos can be more opportune rather than demoing for the sake of demoing in the first place.
Azure, at the moment, are sitting in a very dangerous spot. Because whilst, yes, 1NE need to move on to tomorrow and then make it to the grand finals at the same time to dislodge Azure, it's as much Azure's problem if they lose to 1NE right now. They've got one game, and that could it be it, all done dusted. Realistically, if Azure take both, then they have fully earned the right to be the second best team in the region by taking down the challengers to the throne, to claiming that spot for themselves, and not just, the other half of the bracket run being continuously on the opposite side of the polls, which 1NE is used as the excuse many a times. Azure need to take down 1NE right now to just disallow any of those excuses and arguments and say, no, we're the second best in the region because we're the second best in the region.
I mean, Azure's entire season is on the line. You have to think about it. They worked hard to get into that second place. They weren't the team coming in as number 2. We just knew that they were looking to be the hardest working, the most scrimmiest team of them all coming in, and we were happy that that hard work paid off. However, if that all comes down to one series where you give up all control of your destiny and have to leave it in the hands of Pulse, obviously very safe hands to be left into, but
yes,
they're still out of your control. If you do that, that just invalidates everything you did, all the hard work you put in across the season.
And it's part of the beauty of Rocket League. We don't know what's coming up, because we thought with Squirrel stepping in, we all knew Squirrel was a good player, but the subs stepping in, we were there going, 1NE, they'll take a game, maybe 2. For them to be on the cusp of taking a series, well, what's to stop them going up against Pulse tomorrow and looking to be able to take the series? It's a scary situation when there's so much unexpected happening right now, because it's the very first season. We've seen Pulse previously drop games and series in the Swiss stage. What if they have a bad day today or a bad day tomorrow? Azure, then the issue is on them, not Pulse taking down 1NE in the semis.
I think that's just a worry overall that Pulse, they've had their runs, but the first event, they went almost completely scot-free. They dropped one game. When they got to that second event, they dropped their first series, and they continued to drop games throughout that playoff bracket. Is there a case for teams to be catching up to Pulse, which then makes the chance for 1NE to get into that series even more dangerous for the likes of Azure?
And there's also a massive weight on 1NE's shoulders as being the highlight team of the region for so long. Expectations were for them to be making the regional playoffs. For them not to make it, I think, would disappoint a lot of people, and they know that. This is a team that isn't a team, it's a community. And 1NE, with all that pressure, all that weight on their shoulders, are probably feeling it As we hop back into the lobby, 1NE on the cusp of doing greatness. Azure with the timeout. Hopefully if reset can turn this around still.
Thank you for your patience, everyone, and I hope it was worth the wait, because we're looking here at a potential game number 7. If Azure can wrest control of this one before 1NE get that gentleman's sweep, then we will see potentially Azure taking us to game 7. Potentially Azure bringing back control of their destiny. The beginning of this game will be oh so telling, because the last few have started with 1NE taking control.
Feels somewhat fitting going towards an Asian match in a moment like this. Neo Tokyo. Tokyo Verde are the only confirmed teams so far in the region. I wonder who will be facing off against them. Azure or 1NE. We're seeing a very long game come out for starters here, Yummy, and the way of the scenario, to be expected, isn't it?
It's not exactly a surprise to see 1NE be able to do this. That's why Gex predicted them, and I know Boyo Royo's been backing them despite this. However, it shouldn't be the case. Azure should be strong enough to take down any team that's bringing in their sub. They are meant to be the second best team in the region. And 3 minutes 20 in this game, we've at least stayed at 0-all, which I think is going to favor Azure Esports. It looks like they've calmed this down and they're not letting the free goals come in.
Love it as well. Many who have tuned into previous weeks probably say, no, Boyo's gone against 1NE and says he'll always go against 1NE. No, that's him going against Gex, not 1NE. He knows the power of this squad just as well as anybody else. So do Azure at that. We're swiftly moving up to the halfway mark. Azure probably have better chances on net, but this is a scary moment. clawZ just being able to scramble to a 50-50.
Only just getting back in time as well, and the double commit in the defense. This is a great opportunity for 1NE. They're sensing a little weakness. There's another double commit. Squiggly was playing so far in front of that ball. It was surprising that 1NE weren't able to continue that assault. clawZ dribbling it out, but Rapupi straight back in. The pressure continues. The boost starting to run low, only clawZ with any truly remaining, but maybe that's all you do need. clawZ got the counterattack.
But Squiggly is overextended right now with nothing in the tank. Bunny Dummy the only one boost. clawZ rushing it back in defense. He's been beaten. Skrill on that. Can he get the second touch? He can, but it's into the post. And well, Azure hang on by a thread.
That would have been goal of the day too. Coming out from Squirrel. The angle was always going to be tough. Azure Esports, you see, they get the counterattack and then they send all engines forward. That's going all the way. Squiggly gets the first goal.
It's looking closer towards that game 1 or perhaps even 2, but it's not chaotic with these long sniper shots. It's Squiggly this time around. He's going to take those.
Always with a smile on his face as well. Azure Esports, they're hungry for this game 7, and they did it late in the game, so it's not like they're going to have to hold on for long periods of time. It'll be interesting. Try and hold on to the lead or extend it even more. Squiggly was looking for goal number 2. It's an unfortunate miss for Azure Esports.
Squiggly through a backball past the Bunny Dummy. Isn't fouled, but clawZ keeps the aggression up. Bunny Dummy's driving circles in front of net. It runs so long boost, so hanging around for so long they couldn't offer a hand. Squiggly looking to follow up with a second touch. Gets there a little bit too early, and so can't get it down for a teammate.
Azure seem to have forgotten their org name because they're playing really disconnected right now. There's so many chances for them to get these passes into center. And the third player, the player looking for a shot opportunity, has backed off at the same time. The miscommunications are starting to add up. And that would any second goal here would have secured the game.
Sure won't mind. But they cannot rest right now. A little bit of safety would work wonders for them. clawZ backing off there. Near enough comes to a standstill. That worries me, but it's purely because the player's worried, doesn't know whether to go into attack or fall back in defense. Such an odd game so far.
10 seconds left. 1NE. They need this goal to clinch out the series, or at least to take themselves to overtime. But Bunny Dummy has control. The demo as well. Azure take us to a game 7.
It wouldn't be a 1NE game without going the whole way as well, right? They have to see it out, the best of 7, by going to game 7. Azure, after taking the very first 2 games, had a 3-game streak where they just really couldn't feel themselves into it. A 1-0 after a massive technical break. And Azure going to game 7 probably don't feel confident right now.
I feel like they have to be pretty confident. They had a lot of opportunities throughout that game. They got that first goal, but even that last couple of minutes, there were certainly multiple chances where they could have scored a goal, and at the same time didn't leave their net open. That's the one problem. I actually think overconfidence could be the problem if they're up against 1NE.
But we saw them question themselves so many times whether they should commit upfield or come back. So you think it's more them trying to fight against their instincts as such and keep a little bit of restraint so that they keep that defense in check?
They've been bitten so many times on the counterattack, on the open nets. Of course you're going to be like, oh, should I go in there? Should I send everything forward? That's been mostly the problem. That could get into their heads here. However, speaking of mentality and getting inside the heads of players, this is 1NE. They're experts at losing game 7s.
Ouch. But Squirrel's on the team now. That's a third difference. Who knows? Like,
Squirrel has come out with a clutch factor in the past, so maybe that's the necessary adjustment they had today at Chaotic off the kickoff. Bit of a strange start coming out for these guys, and it looks like a potential troublemaker here for Azure. They forgot to go.
How often do you see a 1-second goal? Come on. That was a perfect kickoff for him.
I mean, this has been such a tough series for Azure to score goals, and they just forget to go for the kickoff. That's unbelievable.
Bunny Dummy, he could turn it all around, getting the 50-50. Look in the lineup, Clausy, and Rapupi stops it. Fantastic stuff to counter that from 1NE. Squirrel with the lineup back for Rapupi, but Clausy steps on in.
Central opening as Chaotic gets bumped straight into the ball, which actually helps out 1NE at the same time. Even still, Azure Esports, you can see Squiggly likes pushing forward, and that's helped him get the intercept and shut down the 1NE attack pretty quickly as Bunny Dummy looking for another one. 1NE caught in defense for a while, but not looking shaken at all.
Clausy blocks out the ball, keeping it locked into his opponent's half, but the second man couldn't come forward to step up. The pass across the backboard. No one there. 1NE now, you can see they want to lock down that midfield line. They want to keep actual pressure alive and not purely just pass it across that backboard waiting for these saves. They want to run down Azure heavily.
And they avoid the demo right there, 1NE. They know it's coming. And that was what allowed them to make that save. Squirrel looking for the dunk too. He had actually got the right read, but the touch not bumping into him. An opening here, Bunny Dummy from in front. But this is desperation now as Squiggly just has to hit the ball forward because his teammates need some time just to gather the boost. They've double committed. This is open. Rapupi should have it, but no, he wasn't able to find it. He couldn't get around it. 1NE could have really used that.
They could. 2-0 up in a situation like this means you just focus on defense. Turtle up. No one gets past the shield. Azure. They need to strike. It whilst the iron's hot. Squirrel keeping the ball alive for 1NE in that blue half. Letting Azure know that that was a simple mistake and that's the only mistake they're making.
Azure as well. Maybe they're saying the same thing. That kickoff was the only mistake we'll make. But a long time here to get this extra goal, but it has always been a struggle. Clausy goes for the slow play. He may have been able to take a shot on net, but at the moment, heat gets that decision making to go against you, and Azure Esports still in this scoreless position.
Chaotic, that's an easy climb with the ladder to get to the ball, make the save. Keeping it slow as well is good right now. Allows the rest, 1NE, to react accordingly, get into pushed up positions, or supply help in defense. Makes it easier to make those decision-making calls. You don't have to just rely upon your reactions.
It's a 2v2 situation now as ClawZ's been the one setting it up. Rapupi had to come for the save. Buddy Dummy misses! Another one for Azure. When they've needed to play as well as they possibly can under the pressure, they haven't been able to step up to the mark.
Azure, the opportunities keep on showing themselves, but they're turning a blind eye to all of them. Bunny Dummy with the pop. ClawZ approaching towards the mid-line, but didn't go up for it. And now, again, 1NE in control. Wide again of net. Azure being gifted so many saving graces, and they don't want to do anything about it.
It could be 2-1 to Azure, but equally it could be 3-0 to 1NE eSports. They're trying to make a show of it, and they have. Rapupi gets the second goal. 1NE on the verge of victory.
Rapupi here, simple shot towards net. Squirrel wants to get another touch, but it's not even needed. The defense was open. ClawZ could not get there in time. He was trying to get the fingertips to it, but unfortunately, too much space between the players of Azure.
It's got to be a rough one for Azure. They still have the time though, even if it is dying down, dying moments on the clock. This has got to be the play that at least opens it up. It goes actually down the other end, and it's kind of 0-2 down, overextension. Just reminds me of what got them in here in the first place. They keep pushing so many members forward and leaving their own net open.
Whilst on the opposite end, look at Chaotic. He just stays back, knows we keep one player in defense at all times because that gives us a bit of security. You guys are happy to go deep downfield off the woodwork. That one rattles. Wasn't a needed goal, it's got to be said. 10 seconds left to go. 1NE have got to be absolutely grinning right now.
3 seconds left, and 1NE
That's it.
with a sub against the number 2 team in RLCS points have managed to take them down against all odds. 1NE are going through to the semi-finals. The
full journey for 1NE is not over. They are still in contention. Azure, however, have not fallen from grace